All right. I think we're here now. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Mrs. White. Yeah. Hi.
she, now, I don't know that we're gentlemen, so Maddie must be typing that or somebody else. But good evening, everybody. We're back here again. A few of you watching, and I know people watch the videos. You can always watch them on YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing showing. We got that page on YouTube.
Nothing.
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 It's not nothing showing. It's nothing showing.
Nothing.
Yeah. We'll get off track real fast. Anyway, so yeah, you can get it on nothing. And it's always on the nothing showing, and it's always on the Facebook page to watch later. But today, so there's a lot going on right around the area, and then in the national headlines. And I don't want to dig into the one thing too much, but we'll dive into it a little bit. But first, let's just talk about the stuff going on around here. A fire station closed. We all know who it is. We're not going to get into that. But it's real, and it's really happening now. I mean, it's coming.
It's coming to light.
Whatever the reasons are, whatever happened there, whatever's going on, it happened now. So, and what it boils down to is manpower issues. I mean, nobody at the station, you can't respond to calls, and so this is where we get into this merger bit, where it has to happen, and it has to happen when you get to that point.
Like what's the rock bottom though?
But how long do you hold on?
That's what I'm saying.
We're holding on to hope, and it'll get better tomorrow. And again, it's something that we've discussed, and we've discussed with others.
You gotta most people go through that waxing and waning. You know what I mean? So you don't want to jump in when you just on a low kick and know that the high kick's coming right around the corner. But if the high kick never comes,
right? I mean, what are we? I mean, we've said it before. We're a couple of people short of the same situation,
right?
Or we're a couple of people. If we lose a couple of people, or age. I mean, people are going to age out here, and we're fortunate. And it's not to say anybody's doing anything wrong or anything. It's just the nature of this whole game. And it's not just here in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. It's everywhere. But and I'm going to say it again, and I hope people start to hear it. We got to get our own heads out of the way and really have these serious discussions. And like I said, we've had them. And are they serious? Not yet. But the idea is there. The groundwork's laid.
Yeah, the seed's planted for sure, right?
Right, and at some point, it's going to be real. And everybody knows there's too many fire departments. I mean, I don't know if you could ever have too many, but there's too many fire departments in an area that, like I said, you have two guys here, a guy here. You don't answer 10% of the time. You don't answer 30% of the time, and whatever. So when we leave here, we pass a couple of them. Why? That's when it should be. We can become one,
right?
And make now we have 6 instead of 2, and just the savings in equipment.
Well, the redundancy in equipment for sure.
We know there's we try. And again, I'm going to say it for the people that any haters listening. We don't know everything. We don't claim to know everything. The only purpose is to try to get people to just, like I said, come to the table. And here it is for now.
It's the conversation, right? This is the conversations we have even off camera. We have
with just us.
Yeah.
And it's tough to talk about. And some people don't want to say it. And this gets politicized too. The whole matter gets politicized, right? And we got more live audience coming in. More of a mayor just walked in. When it gets politicized, then it becomes more difficult to get anything really done. And nothing against any of the local politicians, councils, supervisors, whatever. And I'm going to say it again, you have to have your firefighters involved in these things, unless you have a whole council of firemen or a whole supervisor table of firefighters that understand, he's got his own hands on. I got mine on too. They're under the, I'm under the table there, you're not on the camera. But, you know, that they have to include everybody. Ma'am, you're both, Bam. He gets wound up. Bam, you want to go have a brunch on Sunday? Me and you and the kids and the family and all that. We'll go Sunday again.
Brunch. Eat Park.
You know, no, it wasn't Eden Park, believe me. But anyway, I hope we're getting there and they're starting to happen because, like I said, you see the firehouses are closing, and is it going to make a huge difference? You know, if one firehouse closes and 3 guys go to another department that's just a quarter of a mile away.
Well, it's you know, you're not going to get all of 100%.
No,
It's not going to happen. You know, those diehard guys are, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that if this place shut down tomorrow, I love this stuff too much to say, well, just because South Rangeburg doesn't exist anymore, I'm not going to be a fireman no more.
Right.
Your heart, it doesn't matter where I'm at. My heart's in the service, not in the fire department. I love my department though, you know. But I'm just saying it don't matter where I'm doing it.
I agree.
And you know, if you want to get some hurt feelings, the fire service probably ain't for you anyway.
Well, no, right, and right. I mean, you go to another department,
and they do stuff different.
Right, they do stuff different, and you might not like everything they do. Well, hell, you know, you don't like everything we do. I don't like everything we do, but we make it work. So that's that we're, you know, we're going to continue to talk about that every time. This getting this straightened out to where we can still survive. And the real truth is, you know, it's always talked about, well, paid fire department. Heater's still talking about going to dinner on Saturday.
Well,
Still
he's
at a
hungry.
restaurant we're going
He's
to.
hungry.
But, you know, it's just got to happen. And the paid thing, some of it's going to come. Is it going to be combination? Is one, you know, and it's not going to happen in the next couple of years. I mean, it's a lot to put together, but you're going to see paid drivers. I mean, they're already,
It's already happened.
they're already doing it, right?
I mean, you want to look out east of the state. You cut the state right down the center, and anything out east happens on the west side 10 years later. It's bound to happen. But you go out east, and these little municipalities are combining, and then they're paying a staff guy, staff crew during the day.
Right. And you know, there was a newspaper article. Eddie was on, Mill Iron was on the front page in there, and you know, Southwest does. They have crews in there. Now, you know, it's not a page. It's not a job where you get, you know, health benefits, all this stuff. But they have a crew there that can move their truck during the day at their worst times. And Ross Traver, and I don't want to miss anybody. Youngwood does it.
Right.
I mean, Youngwood's done that for a long, long time. It was different than how they're doing it now, but they do it. I don't know who else was in there.
I'm sure there's a lot of departments we don't even know about.
Right, there were a couple other departments in there, but
and there's 121 of them.
so they recognize the situation we're in, and that's how they're solving it right now.
Right. Until we can't solve like that no more.
And it works during the day because, you know, I mean, you know how it is during the day. It's scarce.
It's hit or miss too. Yeah, for sure.
And it takes 2 guys from here,
Right.
2 guys from there,
Yep.
2 guys from there to make a crew. And you have the apparatus there, of course.
Yeah.
So it's still working.
Right.
You know, Monday was a fortunate day. We had an incident. We had 8 people, but people were off, you know, because of the holiday.
Luck of the draw, yeah.
Right. It just worked out. So that's the kind of stuff we got to keep going with. The other thing I kind of wanted to touch on, and this is, it's becoming more and more of a problem, and I think it's a problem here as well. But I don't think it is. Is back to fundamentals of this thing. Whether it's a fire, a wreck, whatever it is, whatever the incident may be. We could just use a fire, for example. I mean, what do we need? We need a fire truck with fire hose, guys that are willing to go put it out, and we need water. And, we do all this training and different type things and in-house training. And, well, it seems silly. Sometimes we need to just train our people how to hit a hydrant. I've watched it and fumble with it. And,
It's anything atrophies, right?
Right. Hit a hydrant.
Everything atrophies.
Charge a line. I mean, our engineers, we got to keep them because those engineers aren't going out every day or once a week even and putting that truck in pump gear. And if you pump a truck today, you might not pump that truck for 5 more years because you're the 3rd, 4th new engine, or you're just not driving that next time or whatever. So, and we have to train our engineers to do other stuff now other than just pump the truck. Because honestly, these, I call it the new pumps, the way that things are now, pumping for dummies. Because you said it, right? And you don't, more people coming in. You said it, and you got to watch your tank water. The truck kind of takes care of itself for the most part. So can your engineer do what? You got a close hydrant. Can you just get 100 foot off and, get your own water? Grab a ladder, get tools to the door, help get a door open. Get a fan ready, whatever it may be. Even throw a roof ladder to a porch roof, just
as an egress, yeah.
Just to get it started, the ball rolling. And I think that's, the training, we always try to, and we do it. I mean, we're going to train on this. This is way up here, right? And we forget about all this little stuff that gets missed and a lot of times becomes an issue in an incident.
Right. Well, that's, you got to obviously break down your training policy and find a nice balance that works for you, like your department. Because you definitely need to touch on those things you don't do every day,
Right.
The rope rescue and the tying in a Stokes basket, or, we just had a conversation. Somebody just had a tree down on somebody.
Yeah, I guess that's
me and him were talking about how I pictured it in my head, how he pictured it differently in his head. And I go, well, how would I handle this? And he goes, well, I didn't think about it like that, and I didn't think about it like he was thinking. But there's little tabletops,
well, there's 100 different scenarios there with a tree, all right?
With one tree, and you think about it and go well, you could run that scenario a million different ways. But we're talking about a once in 10-year call, not a 3-4 time a year call. And then the basics are basics, right?
Right.
Pulling a pre-connect, forcing the door. Where's that?
Barn fire.
Oh,
Ford Rotors.
Oh. I thought they said Shady Lane.
No more barn fires up near Midway there.
Yeah.
That was a rough one that day.
Right. And then plus too, it's people tend to overcomplicate situations a lot too, right?
Well, yeah. And when we talk about when we get to the complacency part, though, sometimes we overcomplicate them, and sometimes we don't take it serious enough, right? And I think we don't take it serious enough sometimes happens more often than, we take it too seriously. And what's wrong with one of your neighbor guys or even with your own department going, well, you have to call them 5 engines in here.
Right.
You're just a yo-yo. But we mitigated the problem and
Right. Well, that's because back to the end of the day, it's a win. Every call is a win and a loss, right? You either win that call or you don't win that call, right? You definitely want more W's in your call than you want L's, right? You're going to have the L's for sure. It's bound to
Oh,
happen.
absolutely.
But
Everybody.
you want the W's. You want to leave that situation in a better situation than when you arrived at, right? And we walk a fine line there, right? It's definitely a fine line because you don't want to I'm not going to say overcomplicate the situation, but exacerbate the situation beyond to what it is. And then, but you don't want to underestimate the situation either.
Really, part of the problem is that we don't get a ton of incidents that require a lot of moving parts too and things like that, right? They become, we get into that routine,
Right.
and we can walk right into this complacency thing. We get into that, into that thing. Okay, well, we get an automatic fire alarm at Wendy's 100 times, right? And
turns out to be work.
Right. So you get there, and now you got a problem.
How many times has that happened this year?
But so we do, right? It's happening more often. It seems like it's happening more often lately. These AFAs are actually turning into something.
Right. And,
we responded, and I know, just bring an example. One was we responded over into the city of Greensburg for one. That thing comes in at about lunchtime, dinner time, a couple times a week sometimes, maybe a lot. And so there's me, I'm going to lunch. I said, well, I'll head that way, but I'm not going to go breaking no speed records getting over there. And guy arrives with smoke showing. Oh, now we got something. Right, so what do? We try to position our apparatus the same each time we go there in the right place. But now it's a real incident, and now we're going to need water probably, and we're going to need a lot more things come into play than just going there and it's burnt toast or burnt bacon and whatnot. So that's where we get ourselves into trouble. Maybe we don't go in with an air pack on, and we get up onto that floor,
right?
And holy hell, we need an air pack now. And what do we do then when we're not ready and we're being complacent? And we say complacency kills firemen, but what about the people in the community that now we can't go get?
Right. You're not mitigating the hazard, right?
So, and this is, like I said, this has been coming up more and more. And even down here, when this AFA come in, no one called or anything or whatever. Now the fire was outside the building. We are not going there. That's a little out there a little bit. Yeah. Well, now you just killed me there. Now I'm done. We've seen it down here. We had this one down here. Now it was outside. The fire was outside, but it was an actual incident.
Well, they're all actual.
Well, I get it, but there was actually an emergency. It wasn't just the alarm went off because of this or that or the other thing. Somebody burned popcorn in the microwave or whatever.
Right.
And now when you're complacent, and I was there, I'm just kind of driving over. I knew he was off, and we were getting there, and I figured, hell, by the time I get there, it'll be done with. But then it turned into something. And now then the wheels start turning the other way.
Right.
Oh, shit. I'm in panic mode. Now what do I need? Do we need this? Do we need that? Do we need this? Is it in the building? Is there something left in the building?
Right.
Is anybody in there? All that stuff starts coming into, when I could have did that right from the get-go in the car. Okay, if this is what's happening, then we have to do this.
Right.
Where are my closest hydrants to that building?
Well, yeah. I'm sure, I know I do, and I'm sure you do too. I still play the what if game, even going to these ones we go all the time.
And
in my brain.
It depends on what time of the day it is.
For sure, yeah.
If it's the middle of the day, no. At night, I do. I tend to do night more.
I'm the other way around. I'm doing the what ifs when I'm barely functioning
because at night, when it seems to really happen, right? That's when you're, especially with the automatic fire alarm. Right. So during the day when businesses are open, you're usually getting a call to 911 before you get the automatic fire alarm
If there's work. Yeah.
that that something's going on there. But the nighttime ones are the ones, and I'm like, oh, and that's a rare alarm, or whatever. But at night I think about it more because that's when it's somebody didn't see the building, somebody can't see the building, people are sleeping. Whether it's a residential automatic alarm or whatever. And it's not just automatic fire alarms. And everybody's watched the headlines lately. They had an incident, down south of us here. And I don't want to talk about the incident because it's just too soon, but we respond to those type of incidents all the time. Smell of natural gas, smell propane, smell, this carbon monoxide detectors going off. And what do? Right in the door. Pull the truck right up in front of the house. Yeah. Right. And if something happens there, then now our piece of apparatus is done. Our people, we're in trouble. And that's a problem. And sometimes we should take those natural gas emergencies, propane, whatever they are, more seriously and, hold the truck back a little bit, get our meters ready, and you start getting some readings approaching it, or CO, the ladies, the old lady's still in her house sitting there and she feels fine, but so you go, oh, it's just your detector, but do we check it? I think we do an okay job with that because we use multiple meters and, I always like, well, why is he checking it with 3 meters? Well, maybe that meter was goofed up and we don't want to leave them with that either. And I'll go back to that one that threw us for a loop was that coal furnace here on Skidmore. I'm looking at the propane furnace. Well, I didn't ask the right question, right? I didn't, I didn't realize that was bad in there doing that. And that propane furnace had never ran. House was brand new. They might have used it 1 or 2 times, they said. So I wanted to kick that propane furnace on right away. And here it's that coal furnace. Right. So I guess you got to open your mind to this stuff and get there with that. And carbon monoxide is a big one. That's a big one. I mean, it's probably a dead battery. It's probably a bad detector. Right. But what I'm saying is, are we ready? Do we have our equipment? Okay, when we get there, we know we got to have a meter ready. We want to start the meter in clean air. We don't want to be starting a meter in that condition, or frankly, in the truck. There's stuff in the truck that could, the
carcinogens.
Yeah. I didn't want to go there, but and then another thing was the ambulance assist. Now, while we had one, and there wasn't actually carbon monoxide in the house. No. However, when they come in with the medical bag, they had a little gas meter on the medical bag, and it said 24 on it. And I'm looking at it. Jared, this thing has got a reading on here. No, it wasn't a reading. It was how much life that meter had left. But it made the wheels go enough to say, we just walk right into these things and don't even think about that. Maybe sometimes you get the symptoms. Maybe somebody goes, hey, maybe this is something different. But so what we do, order meters for our medical bags. I mean, a couple $100.
Could save a life. The responder's life, yeah.
And theirs even, frankly, the whoever is having the problem, it might be enough we have to get them out of there quick. Just get them out into fresh air. And that might be their problem. So, and then what was the other? So there was and I don't know, I didn't watch much of it. And I tried to watch more on this other thing, but the CNG vehicle. It was on fire. It was pretty much burned down when it exploded, wasn't it?
I didn't even look into it.
Did you watch that video of that truck? From what I saw, it was pretty much.
Is that the one down in Pittsburgh?
No, it was not. I think it was LA. It exploded. People got hurt, and it was in the middle of the street. You know, and what are we doing? That's what I mean. What are we doing there at that point? There wasn't a ball of fire when I was watching the video when it exploded.
Right.
So it had to be either burned down or knocked down or whatever. There wasn't much left to that vehicle to begin with. But now we got guys walking around.
Yeah, I think a lot of that complacency too comes with, I think a lot of times we forget our own, what's the word, mortality.
Nothing's going to happen to us, right?
Like, you hear about this stuff, but it ain't going to happen this time. Or do yourself a favor and read the NIOSH reports every single line of duty death out there, right? It's rather insane.
Some of it.
How mundane some of those, like bread and butter fires, killing firemen. I mean, you get those ones that are just crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's just crap went bad quick. And then you read them NIOSH reports, and hopefully you take something away from it, and put it in the old kaleidoscope, and eventually, if you ever, hopefully you never run into the same scenario, right? But I've always been one of those firm proponents of, I'm not a proponent that the best policies are written in blood, but I can assure you the best lessons are, you shouldn't let that lesson go unlearned, because that's what it ultimately breaks down to, is a lesson out of a tragedy,
Well, there's always lessons learned out of that, and even just an injury.
Yeah, even as simple as any kind of injury, really. You know what I mean? Like, especially a loss of time injury, a loss of time of work.
Right. Why are you prying a door on a Connex box?
Happens, right?
I mean, I guess.
Coming busting through the door like Kool-Aid, man.
Yeah, I mean,
just like the law.
But we want to limit that stuff. And accidents happen, right? It doesn't matter how you break it down. I don't care how much safety you put into it, how much training. It's dangerous.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are comfortable working in that. I think to be a half decent firefighter, you have to be a little bit comfortable to work in that realm, right? And I don't know if necessarily we forget our mortality, but I think it's a good way to describe it, is because you think you have a handle on the situation, a grasp on the situation, right? And you might see the big picture, but you're not looking beyond the picture, right? And then, sometimes all it takes is that one person to say, "Hey, did you think of think of X, Y, Z?"
Right.
And you go, "No, I didn't think about X, Y, Z, but now I am thinking about X,
now
Y, Z."
Now we're going to think
right.
about it.
And like, well, if X, Y, Z happens, then 1, 2, 3 happens, and 4, 5, 6 happens, right? And that's how your situations go rapidly decline. When you read every line of duty death, there isn't one single cause for a line of duty death. It's never just one thing, right? Never just one thing. And every single NIOSH report you read, what do you think the number one thing is? Communication, right?
Oh yeah.
And we even get complacent on the communication wholeheartedly, and it gets there's a lot of naysayers for the NIMS, but simple communication that's you dummy it down and have a common terminology. How easily it is to mix up anything, really. I mean, like.
Well, right, that helps, and that's where, and too, where like when we go back and forth about this incident command stuff and all that stuff, and there's a point where. It doesn't matter what it is, an incident commander of an incident. They're always scrutinized no matter what.
Well, yeah.
So, you do it to yourself, you do it to the guy down the way. Well, why didn't he do this, this, and this? Well, this is what, and when you're doing that, and we talked about this on a couple fires where it's different when I'm there beside you and we're going into the fire than me standing out there watching it.
Absolutely, right.
Like I have a different view and I'm going, this don't look good. Maybe we should get them out of there or get them closer to the door.
Well, for sure.
And we're in there going, you're in there and you're going, this person's crazy.
Well,
we got this.
Obviously, the weight of the shoulders lies on the incident commander, and that's a heavy.
Right, and they got to go make the explanation when it happens, right?
That's a heavy load to put on your shoulder. But again, we talked about it before, though. It's just like looking at the 10,000 foot picture, and instead of looking at the 10 foot picture, you're still worried about the 10,000 foot view, right? And if I got to worry about the 10-foot view, is the incident commander,
right?
That's deterring me from that. And
So,
again, it comes back to a complacency and not having that's basic firefighting, right?
right.
Again, that comes with complacency.
Well, like for example, we pull in to a fire, say, and you get off the truck and you took a quick look,
right?
And you got smoke coming out this window. Okay, the fire's up there in that room. You get in that room, you see the fire, and you hit it. But now it's gone into the attic, and you don't know it, and it's going out the other side of the house.
Right.
And I say, hey, get them out of there. That roof's not going good, and we got to go. And you're going, man, it's one room fire. What are you doing? And then you come out yelling at me or whoever it is, and
right.
And then,
well, too, it's at what point do you communicate that even? Hey, did you guys come out in the attic, or it's above you or below you, or it's and then plus too, like it kind of kills me too, like even simple things like the pass device and people using the air horns, right, for evacuation, right, ordering evacuation. For me, there's a big difference between, hey, everybody should come out, and evacuation, right? Evacuation it's gone downhill real bad, and you need to get out right now, right? That's the air horn.
now this opens up a whole new can of worms. Talking about this part of it is this when you. So we get there, everybody wants. There's a lot of people that want to go in. So if I can say, okay, Randy and Ski took a line in, and they're on the second floor, and that's all that's in there. Now you got ways out. There's two of you. It's easier to manage.
No stacking, right?
I didn't get 5 guys come in the back door and they're on the stairwell for your way out. And just wreaking havoc basically. And believe me, I've done it.
Who hasn't done it?
Come on, like who hasn't done it? So, but those are things we have to think about. And it is because there's not so many incidents and everybody wants to get a little experience in whatever it is or whatever we call it. But that creates another problem.
Well, I mean,
I think just you and him are in there, and I actually got 8 guys in there. Now a floor, we lose a floor.
Right.
Okay, I got to send a red team after 2 guys. No, I got to send a red team after 10 guys because people are going indoors, climbing in windows.
It gets even worse off of that though, because you're going after 2 guys, not knowing there's 8 other ones.
That's what I mean. And then so say we pull 2 guys out. Now we're in the dark.
Right.
We get you out, and then you got your name on your coat.
Right.
You're ugly, so we know it's you, and whatever. But
it
takes time to figure that out.
You get a response from the 2 guys are in there that, all right, well, I don't have to worry about anybody else.
Right.
If there's like a numbers guy, I know it's something like crazy for heavy entrapment. For one firefighter, heavy entrapment, it's like 16 firefighters to pull that one firefighter out on average, right? I'm sure there's somebody out there that's a little bit better with the numbers, but I know it's a crazy high number for firemen putting in work to get one fireman out of a heavy entrapment.
You got debris down on you. You got to move. You got fire to deal with.
Now you want to overcomplicate that situation and have 10 people in that same situation, right? Even if you had half of them, I mean, you just don't have the manpower for it. It's insane, But it roots back to right. What are you taught? Accountability. You're taught that at the very basic level of essentials, right? Firefighter 1, you're taught accountability. You got to be accountable, right? Accountability. How simple can that get? Hey, chief, we got 5 people. We want to go in.
Right, but the thing is though now you have a home with a front door, a side door, a back door, right? So now manpower is limited. We've talked about this. So now I got to put somebody at the front door. Or me watching the front door or whoever, somebody watching the side door, somebody watching the rear door. Now I took 2 more guys out of the thing to basically babysit when we can't police ourselves.
Well,
instead of just come down, and you hear it all the time on the radio. And before, I didn't think about it too much. Now I really think about it. Hey, okay, we got a house fire. 2 engines, truck up front, water supplies, established, yada, yada. Got all this other apparatus coming with manpower on it.
Right.
And manpower limited to the trucks that came, but everybody park your apparatus on a side street and send your manpower to the front of engine 7.
Right.
Still calling for orders.
Need some water?
No. Still calling for orders. Trying to do radio traffic inside. Your order was to park the truck and walk down to this piece of apparatus, and we'll tell you what, whoever will tell you what we need you to do.
Right.
And for right now, we just need you to stand there. There's 4 guys in there working. So what happens now? And, we're all in the greatest shape of our lives anymore. So you got 4 guys in there working, 45-minute cylinder, last you 20, 25, 30 minutes, depending on how you're doing.
Right.
And how much work you're actually doing.
Yeah.
Are you doing chief stuff and just pointing, hey, the fire's up there, hit it with water, or are you actually pulling ceiling or walls?
Right.
But so you get through that point. Now those guys, then these guys that are waiting there, they go in there on their own, right? Now they're breathing through air and messing around, doing whatever. Now I have nobody out there to replace this crew with
Well,
to do things.
That's, well, yeah, I mean, the John Lanning, right? Everybody, you talk about I think if you have a good command, there's still going to be it. But you slap a wrist once, usually people kind of respect.
But you're the bad guy though when you do that.
For sure, 100%. You're the dickhead that didn't let them go in and do what they got to do. I mean,
yeah, that guy.
valid
But
person.
right, he just held us out there because he don't like us or something.
Right.
No, I need when these guys come out that are in the best shape of their lives and they're ready to go back in 5 minutes later. Not, I need you to go do this.
And, I mean, yeah, it's just you got a lot of eager people.
And we don't have people stepping on each other,
Right.
running over each other.
I mean, usually you can tell who the eager guys are, right out the gate. And those are the guys that are waiting at that front door. Even if you have somebody there, they're the guys.
Yeah.
I'm right here. I'm ready to go.
Hey, you need us. You
Yeah.
need us. We gotta go. I get it,
But it's
and that's great.
but and I know you'll see 100 masked men, and there's 20 eager guys. Or even 50.
You see 100 mass men. There's 20 in there.
Well, that too. I mean, it's but again, it just roots back to the whole thing of like we create our own chaos, right? And
Absolutely.
and again, that kills firemen just as quick as complacency. But you're right. We don't do enough. We don't do enough. So you want to get in there and do something, right? You don't want to have the helmet that is the cleanest. You know what I mean? Like these are all things, and you're going to get stroked for it back at the firehouse. And they say you want to go do it, right? You want to go get some, and then you see fires where it's like your bread and butter fire, room and contents. Maybe one story lit off, the second floor is lit off, or the attic's lit off, and then that's a 2-man crew. It's one hose line, a 2-man crew, right? Now I'm not saying that's the 5 minutes of firefighting you actually do to
Right.
fire, right?
Right.
And then comes the 2 hours of digging plaster and lath and all that other
Right.
crap.
The overhaul to clean up, all that
Everything that
stuff.
comes along with it. It's a 2-man fire that you're trying to get 10 people in. 10 people want to do that job, what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. It's, hey, here's a fire. We want to get in there and we want to be at the fire.
And so it really does suck, especially when you catch these bread and butter fires, the ones you actually get to fight, right? You say you go to a fire and everybody's got their clay pipes up and, the waterways are flying and you're firefighting, but you're not really firefighting, right? How I like to passionately say you're outside with the women and children, right?
Yeah.
But again, how quickly can stuff go bad just like that, right?
Oh yeah.
Right? You didn't see the propane tank in there.
Things can change in a minute.
Absolutely.
I mean, a second.
And it sometimes it's broadsides you, right? You try to be all-seeing and try to paint the broad picture as an incident command or as an engine boss or even as a firefighter. You try to paint that picture, right?
And that with the, the whatever the incident commander, whatever falls into, we always talk about we need manpower, but as we need it, we still have to continue to do what we're doing with what we have,
Right.
and work with what we have. So we can't have just 20 guys running in there because we need those other 18 guys to work
Right.
after the small things. So if you're getting a hold of something, a fire or a wreck, whatever it is, if you're going to get a hold of it quick and, get the fire knocked down, like you said, the 5 minutes that it takes to knock it, and then there's a lot of work to do that comes along with it after.
Right.
Did it get into the wall? Did it get into here? Simple as a mattress needs torn apart, or a couch, or whatever it is. We got to ventilate the place. Then we got to secure utilities, do other things.
And most of these houses, if you're going to go to a lot of houses, it's the hoarding conditions, right? It's cool your mansion.
Every time, almost.
Almost every time you get the high heat and the hoarding conditions. Right. It's going to happen, right? You see, you run into these houses, and it's just you're stepping over crap to step over crap to step over crap, right? And then if the fire gets into that, you can foam it all you want.
Yeah,
you're coming back in 2 hours if you don't dig all that crap out and actually do a good job on it, right?
Well, in an attic space, for example, we've had it.
Basements, yeah.
Attic, basement, whatever.
Yeah.
Fire, flood, whatever it is. You got, you got an attic. What do you do with your attic? Jam all your combustibles up there, right? Boxes.
Yeah. Boxes.
Crates, plastic crates, dripping plastic crates, and you end up doing more water damage and things to that stuff because of all those contents in there. And are those hoarding conditions? Well, they're storage conditions.
Well, it's a storage.
It's not a living space.
Yeah, it's not a living space, but again, it reverts back to like how often as an incident commander, you like to think that you're thinking about salvage, right? Salvage right away. Like how often does that get done, really?
And in that one we had, it became, while it was a thought, it was a later thought.
Right.
And we did do well with it and cover stuff up and do that. But how often do you see that anymore?
And then plus two, it should be like after life safety. It should be one of the proper preservation of property. That's our job, right? Life safety and property preservation. And just because the attic's on fire doesn't mean we can't preserve a lot of the other property.
So after that call, now we have tarps on our trucks.
And it's that's something that has to come to the forefront right away, right? And obviously, it falls low on the kaleidoscope there of tasks to get completed, but ultimately, that's our job too, is property preservation.
Right, but you have that attic fire with all that storage, you're going to dump water on it. Where's that water going? Right down through the second, depending on what size house it is, second floor, first floor, into the basement, whatever.
But that's manpower intensive too.
And where's all your stuff? Now you got, but instead of having those people on the stairs in somebody's way, now I got, okay, hey, you might not do it until you see the water starting to drip through the ceiling.
Right.
Oh, damn, we better get a tarp on that stuff.
Usually it's way after the fact.
Right, until the ceiling comes on top of everything that's in there. But it's something to start thinking about now.
Right.
And we don't even discuss it, right, until after it happens. Or we might not even discuss salvage.
Right. Well, yeah, I can tell you the last time I probably did a water shoot was in Firefighter 1, or I think it's Firefighter 1 you learn that in, right?
Those things are crazy.
Putting pike poles and wrapping a tarp to get the water out of the window, or getting everything put into the center of the room so you can cover with a tarp, and deploying the tarp properly, folding the tarp properly, right?
Right.
Just think about all that stuff and go like, geez, And then, but again, it reaches back to the complacency of our basics, right? That's a basic.
Well, yeah.
And then
It's part of the first classes you take in the fire service.
learn about what a fire service is, and then you learn about tarps,
Right.
know? And it's building.
The problem when it comes down to it, it's not cool, is that bright red, shiny, majestic thing dancing in the corner.
Well,
So like nobody wants to handle the work.
right.
They
You're
want
right.
to play with the cool stuff.
That's like you hopefully.
We got a fire up here to deal with. What are we doing messing around with this tarp?
Yeah.
Well, we're probably saving a lot of stuff
Saving a lot of
that
property.
we wouldn't
right?
damage with that one room fire, that small attic fire, whatever it might be. So
Even a 50-gallon fire, I mean, that water's got to go somewhere, right?
you like the 50 gallon?
I love those 50-gallon fires. Those are the best.
Low budget.
The low budget.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love them low budget fires. Man. That's where
You got to show your cards around.
Yeah.
Explain which budget we're responding to. We have a
flow
chart.
that lets us know what kind of work we have. You know, high budget, low budget, medium budget. But it's low budget. Those low budget fires. Those are the ones we're supposed to be rock stars on, right?
Yeah, come out of there shining, gleaming with
750 gallons in one line, and get 2 firemen, and you go and put in work, and you're like, heck yeah, that was a stop, right?
Look, our truck's 3/4 full still.
Right, and it's like that's when you come out. I kind of chuckle, but I remember. This is a funny story, but I remember the first time I pulled a live animal out of a fire, right? And I was talking to somebody, and I said, it's a pretty good feeling to actually pull a live animal out of something, right? And then they said to me, well, you can't save a kitten every day, So then it turned into that. You can't save a kitten every day, but those are the ones that make you feel good, right?
Oh, yeah.
You actually help with a rescue of a person. There's tons of, just even locally, there's tons of firemen that have been credited like making good grabs with people, right?
Well, sure.
And when you look at that and go like, man, the high you have to feel for doing your job, right? And then and it reverts back to fighting the fire, right? That's an atypical situation, right? And then putting out the fire, that's your other one, right? Like that's your other, like, yeah, we did that. We put that fire out. We did it real good.
Well, there's a sense too of pride or whatever you want to call it when a resident moves back into their home,
right?
After they had a fire.
Right.
Do we lose that? They're going to tear it down and we're going to make a parking lot out of it or build a new house there or whatever. And then you see them moving back in and you're like, we actually did something there.
Right.
They're able to move back into their house,
Well, that's a W, right?
Well, I would say. Yeah. I would say.
And then it kills me, but then you see it on Facebook and they're blasting hashtag good job and hashtag
right.
Saving babies and kicking down doors, and then all that's left is the foundation of the chimney.
Right.
That's an L, buddy. You shouldn't be proud of the L.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being proud of you guys for doing what they do, because sometimes you show up and they're gone.
Right.
They're gone. Right. Sometimes you're 7 minutes into the call before you even getting there, and it's insane how some of these fires can get going so quick, but.
Anymore.
You hope to catch it quick, and you hope to get her done. And it's a crazy thing, but it just goes to show you the basics.
That comes down to your complacency too. Like, you got a room of content.
Absolutely.
And
right?
Next thing you know, you got the foundation.
Right.
So the complacency can hit you. Real quick. Like, this is cake, and it went south real fast.
And yet, we're just taking a case of that wreck we just had with confinement, right? A lieutenant was there and made a report, and he made a good size up. He gave us a good size up, and he was spot on with his assessment. But how quickly could have that been different? Right? You get a call from a bicycle, somebody just driving by. It's really lucked out that a capable department was passing by and made the call. But, a bystander swings by and says, well, it looks like everybody's out moving around, and you get there, and then it turns into be something a lot worse.
So there's one there. There's an example, right? So we got a report there pretty quick, what they needed, and it was accurate and whatnot. But now, looking at the whole thing, that could have turned into something is gas leaking from the car.
Right.
We have this, we have that. We're going to light a flare next to the car that's leaking gas. There's other stuff, right? Now
something can smoke a cigarette next to the car.
Yeah, right. You use that word again on it. We're going to get the boot. All right. Well, you know, the attention span's about gone.
Yes.
Yeah. So, keep your eyes open, ears open, pay attention to what we're doing. Keep on doing what everybody's doing, and this thing will keep on going on. We'll see here maybe in a couple of weeks. We'll get back at it again. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Hold on, no, don't say nothing.